Hi everyone, welcome back to Dwarf Fortress and the Brightmines. I am Sir Tristan. Let's continue building up a fantastic fortress and dive deep into the earth. In the last episode we finished off taking a look at our mason's workshop and setting up a stockpile around that and getting wheelbarrows figured out. Now you can see we do have our little fella, what's his name here? Lost Blade. At it again, Lost Blade. Let me fix my UI. There you go. He is carrying stone back and forth for Sir Ara, our mason. And looks like the mason's workshop has actually been cleared of tasks. Let's actually go ahead and press T and mouse over the building. You can see we have two doors, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 thrones, which are just chairs, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 tables, which are tables. So I think it's time now for us to go ahead and build our meeting hall. Let's go ahead and go down a level, which is shift period. And you can see now the dwarves, my miners, have carved out this nice little area that I want to turn into a meeting hall. So let's go ahead and place our buildings. Remember to place buildings or place objects you've built. You use the B key, press B. And also, as always, don't forget, in the bottom left corner, you can see which keys I'm pressing, A, B, C, and they'll always appear there so you can follow what I'm doing down there. So we're in the build menu. We want to build a chair, so let's find chair in the list on the right. I'm almost positive it's just C. It is. It's the third item on the list. It just says seat, so we press C. Let's go ahead and just place it in the corner like that. And we have a list of different types of thrones or chairs to place. We'll press enter and it'll pick a granite chair. Obviously, if you want to eat, if you want to have a place to sit down and enjoy a good meal, you need a chair and a table. So we'll press B. Oh, we're already in the build menu. And so we're going to press T for table, and you can see that right there. Table is T. And we'll place it right there next to the chair, and we have a granite table. Cool. So we have the outlines of a chair and a table. We'll do that. Repeat that a few times. C for chair, and then T for table, C for chair, and then T for table, C for chair, T for table. Since I have those doors already pre-built, because I knew I would be doing this, I'm going to go ahead and place a door here, and then the other door here. So now all of our dwarves should scurry off, pick up those objects, and drag them down. Very cool. So we have our first table and our first chair. You can see them right here. I've pressed Q, just like on the beds for our dormitory. I've pressed Q. Okay, wait, hang on. I've pressed Q. There we go. I was in a weird menu. And now when we hover over the chair and the table, for the chair we get make throne room or study. Throne room would be useful for if you had a king and a queen, or king or queen. Dining room if you wanted to make a study if you wanted to make like a personal office for someone. That's on the chair. And then dining room is on the table, and that's what we want to do, is we want to turn this room into a dining room / meeting hall. So we'll press R and we'll size the room just like we sized the dormitory. And if you look, you can see even though I don't have doors placed there yet, right? It's just the outline of where doors are going to go. Here's a dwarf carrying a door there. The room already knows that it needs to be bound to this area. So this is going to be my, let's see, can I actually go back a little bit? Let's go down a little bit in size. No. I was trying to see if I could not include this downward staircase, but honestly that's okay. We can include it and it won't hurt things too badly. I'll press enter, and then we have new options in the upper right, as you can see. This is already going to be a dining hall, so dwarves will come here to eat. However, we do want to make it a meeting hall as well. And if you remember from my last episodes, setting it as a meeting hall will make sure that if a dwarf doesn't have a job, this is where he's going to come. This does two important things. One is it provides safety, so he's no longer outside. And it provides dwarves a place to congregate so they can, 1, become friends, which improves moods, and 2, improve their conversational skills, which will become very useful for people like the appraiser of goods when we get into trading and things like that. So we'll go ahead and hit H for a meeting hall. And now, by default, all the dwarves and the animals that have not been assigned to the pen in the pasture should congregate in this room. Sure enough, look at them all. Very cool. And our cats are just kind of there. And they have some other jobs as well they're going to come out and do. Construct buildings, storing items in stockpiles, get drinks, things like that. So this is now where they're going to come when they have nothing left to do. Now, alongside this meeting hall and dining room, I've also pre-built or pre-carved out an upstairs and a downstairs. You can see in the corner here, and a little bit of a room. And I like to make this room right here, I like this to be my food stockpile. And the reason I like to have it so close to the dining room is because a dwarf, when they're hungry or thirsty, they will come find the closest food and then turn around and go to the dining area. So by making the stockpile very close to the dining area, it's going to be very easy for a dwarf to get food and then come over and eat it. So like in the last episode, I'll hit P, and then I'll look in the upper right corner, I'll see the food stockpile is F, and then I'll go ahead and just press enter in the corner, drag it down, and press enter again. So what this is going to do now, if we press Q on the stockpile and press S on the stockpile settings, or on the stockpile itself, to see stockpile settings, you'll see we have this giant list: meat, fish, unprepared fish, eggs, plants, all this stuff. Now I think what I want to do is I actually want to prevent seeds, because I actually want my farm and the seeds from my farm to be separate from all the regular food, because I really don't want my dwarves, and they won't do this anyway, they won't go eat seeds as if it were food because they know, hey, this isn't food. They won't do that, but I don't want my farmers to have to run all the way over here to pick up seeds. So I think what I will do is I've highlighted seeds with up and down, and I think I'm going to press P, and you can see the list of commands you have here to just, oh not P, F, to forbid all seeds. And you can see now seeds has become inactive, which means that as dwarves are moving food to the stockpile, and I'll press space, they should run out, and there you go, you can see, who is this? This is Christian, our expedition leader. He's running a barrel of food, and he should run it down, there he goes right there, into the stockpile. And sure enough, I've got food. And look, actually, I think Christian was probably pretty hungry. Let's hit U to go to our unit list. What is Christian doing? Here he is. There you go. He's eating. So what he did is he stored this barrel. He realized, hey, you know what? I'm kind of hungry. I should eat. He came over to this barrel, grabbed some meat, which you can see here, and I bet you anything he's going to take it up to a table and start eating. Nice. There you go. Well, he ate real fast, didn't he? He ate super fast, the bone and everything, it looks like. Anyway, all the food, like our plump helmets and the miscellaneous items that we got, should all be stored in this room. Let's press K, which is, if you remember, our look function. We're going to move the cursor to a barrel, and you can see in the upper right corner we have a fish barrel. Go over again. This is a meat barrel. Nothing in that barrel. Looks like a dwarven wine, dwarven ale barrel. If we press enter on a barrel, we should be able to see, yeah, we can see its contents. So inside this first fish barrel, I guess a lobster isn't really a fish, but you can see it has 2 cave lobster inside. Go over and look at the meat barrel. It just has a peregrine falcon meat. Now, if you remember from my very first episode when I embarked, I picked up a lot of one-offs of different types of meat and fish and turtles and things like that. That's because I wanted all these free barrels that came along with it. So now you're seeing the fruits of that labor. We have this meat barrel. It has 2 prepared cow spleens in it, or 10. Looks like 10 prepared cow spleens in it. If you look at this hazelwood barrel, it's got 2 or 4 dwarven ale. This one has 4 dwarven wine. This one has 5. So I have lots of different barrels that have just one particular type of food. And that's how dwarves actually store food, is in barrels and bins, and they store them by basically what they are. So in general, you will very rarely see, I was going the wrong direction, you very rarely see multiple types of food in one type of barrel. Here's one example where that's actually a bit wrong, but here's yak lungs, eyes, hearts, intestines, livers, tripes, sweetbreads, whatever that is. Can we look at that? Let's look at the sweetbread. Butchering of an animal gives meat, the amount depending on the size of the butchered animal. Along with plants, meat is the backbone of every food industry. Well, that's DF hack information. We don't actually... Oh, V for description. Ah, there you go. If you ever wanted to know what yak sweetbread is, here's a description. This is yak sweetbread. Thank you so much for that useful bit of information. Anyway, our dwarves are going to store that food down in there, and they're going to take it off of the barrel. Very cool. So one thing that I wanted to talk about right now is giving dwarves other jobs. If you remember from episode 3, I think it was 3, I'm going to press K now, by the way, I'm looking K. All these tree trunks, these kind of circular things here, we have peach trees, bayberry trees, more peach trees, almond trees, bayberry trees. We have a lot of trees that can produce food. And so I don't want that to go to waste. Not the birch tree. The birch tree is not going to be it. But I don't want that food to go to waste. There's also lots of plants out here. Oh, maple sapling. That's not really a plant. That's a tree sapling. There you go. Coneywood leaves. What are some others? We have foxtail millets. Not sure if that's like an edible plant. Pea plant. I know peas are edible. Bitter vetch. Lots of different types of plants and flowers, and we want to make use of all of these. So let's jump down here and let's look at Dwarf Therapist. And I haven't really talked too much about this view here. You do know that on the left, you have all the different dwarves. These are the starting dwarves. I like to order them by when they arrived. So these are my 7 starting dwarves. They arrived in the spring of the year 125, which is our starting year. And then at the top is every single job in the game. It's actually not the best view. Can I expand that a little bit? I cannot. So we're going to have to use the left and right. Well, I guess I can do to the right for now. But this is every type of job in the game, and they're categorized by color, with similar jobs being similar color. So all the doctor type jobs, diagnosis, surgery, setting bones, suturing, dressing wounds, feeding patients, and recovering wounded, all fall in this kind of brown category. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for the gathering, which you can see right here. Here it is, plant gathering. And you can see 0 dwarves have this labor enabled. So if I went in here to Dwarf Fortress, and let's say I set a zone, go I for zones, and let's say I wanted to just pick a giant plant and fruit gathering zone like that. It's a pretty large zone. Let's actually remove part of the water here from the zone because I don't want the dwarf to drown. I don't think that would happen, but let's go back to I and let's make this A. Where is it? Okay, so remember from the last episode, you set a pin or pasture or a zone with I, which I've done, and then we're going to set it as a gather/pick fruit zone. Now press G, and so now we have this gather and fruit pick, or pick fruit zone. If I unpause it, no dwarf will ever go to make use of this zone because it requires the gathering profession. So let's go back to Dwarf Therapist. Here we go. And nobody has the plant gathering profession. So let's actually give a dwarf plant gathering. We have a few that are either only running items to stockpiles or not doing anything. So I think what we'll do is let's look at a dwarf that doesn't have a lot of other jobs right now. Here we go. We got Lost Blade. He has the farming job and all the hauling jobs, which are enabled by default. But we're not doing farming right now. So let's actually click on Plant Gathering right here for Lost Blade. And now you can see on the right, we're going to add Plant Gathering to Lost Blade. So let's hit Commit. And you can see now the icon has changed from nothing to this kind of purplish blue texture. So when I go back to Dwarf Fortress, nope, that's DF hack, we'll get into that later. When I go back to Dwarf Fortress, Lost Blade should eventually, there you go, look at that, he has a gather plants job. I think that's not him. What are you doing, Benjamin? You have no job. Are you just hanging out outside? Okay, that's fair. Here you go, here's Lost Blade right here. Let's see what he does. He's going to come down. Looks like he's gathering some type of plant. Let's see what he does. Okay, he's gathered something. Let's see, how do we look at what he is holding on to? Press K, press enter, and then, where is it? Enter. No, this is not going to show what he. This is the similar. So I didn't mean to go into this menu, but I can talk about it. If you have a cursor over a dwarf and you press enter to view him, press enter again to get his thoughts and preferences. You can see a lot of the same information that you can find in Dwarf Therapist when you just mouse over. And so I typically don't look at it in the in-game menu because it takes like 4 key presses to get there. So I'm not going to bother with that right now. But Lost Blade will continue to go around gathering different things. I'm not exactly sure how to see what he's got. No building nearby. That was T. There is a way to do it. Okay, I know how to do it. Let's go to U. And we'll go down to Lost Blade. Press V. Nope, that's where I was before. That's not correct. Where is it? Z. There we go. Z is what I was going for. And then on the right, you can see miscellaneous, labor, and combat. And then at the bottom, you have general inventory, which is what we're looking for, preferences, wounded, and status. So we're looking for inventory. I know there's a ton of things I'm talking about here. Don't worry about a lot of these. I'll cover these when they become relevant. We'll press I. We should be able to see everything he is wearing as well as what he's carrying. Ah, there it is right there. Look at that. At the very bottom of the list, he's hauling lettuce. Awesome. So he's found lettuce. He's going to pick that up. Perfect. So one thing I actually didn't mention about trees and gathering fruits is that you actually need a stepladder to gather fruits. I'm looking at the Dwarf Fortress wiki, and I've looked at activity zones, which is what we've made as a zone, and here's a gather/pick fruit zone. This will automate plant gathering jobs in this area. This is also necessary if you want your dwarfs to collect fruit from the floor or trees. If there are fruit-bearing trees in the designated area, a dwarf will fetch a stepladder to climb into the tree. The ladder using dwarf will drop harvested fruit to the ground for other dwarves to collect and haul. So that makes sense. I need a stepladder. Well, wouldn't you know it? I'm going to press T and go up to the carpenter's workshop. Look at that. I pre-made a oaken stepladder. It's almost like I planned what I was going to talk about in this episode. So I think the problem here is that Lost Blade is gathering things like lettuce and plants on the ground, but none of these trees actually have fruit yet. So perhaps it's not the right season. I'm going to need to wait for these trees to get fruit. However, thankfully, Lost Blade, while he's not farming, will continue to pick up. There's lettuce leaf, bitter vetch leaf, Long Island grass leaves. He's going to get all of these leaves and herbs and things like that, and they'll be for use in the fortress. So this is still a very valuable job, and once the trees become filled with fruit, we'll be able to gather those as well. I'm actually going to go back. Let's look at Lost Blade for a second here. I noticed something peculiar. On the bottom here, he has a coating of Lost Blade something, but we can't tell what that is because the menu isn't large enough. Let's press Tab to make this larger. Oh. Huh. It's a coating of Lost Blade's tears. Why would you be crying? So let's press G. Look at the general information. Not really telling us anything. Let's press P for preferences. That's not really telling us anything. Let's go to Z for status. And then enter his thoughts and preferences. That's actually a she. Lost Blade, you're a she? She was annoyed when caught in the rain. So maybe that's why she was crying? She was blissful dining in the great dining hall. So look at that. She really liked the dining hall we were putting together. She was embarrassed after sleeping without a proper room. That's a bit upsetting. She felt dislike when forced to talk to someone annoying. So it looks like there's actually some Looks like there's actually some intermingling of dwarves, and they don't like each other. That might cause some problems in the future. Let's actually press R for the relationships. Oh boy, look at that. Lost Blade and Sir Ara have a grudge. Oh man, this might cause a problem later on. I'm going to press V. Now I'm looking at Sir Ara. Let's look at his thoughts and preferences. She didn't feel anything when she was forced to talk to someone annoying. We'll go back and press R. Sure enough, Sir Ara and Lost Blade have a grudge. Oh boy. Well, this might cause a problem in the future. I'm going to try to remember that, so that I don't perhaps put them in a room together, like specifically lock them in a room together just to see what will happen. I certainly shouldn't do that kind of thing. I certainly shouldn't. Let's go ahead and press Q, and I'm going to set my mason, Sir Ara Blade, that we were just talking about, to build a few more tables and chairs. I built 4 of each, and just like beds, I like to keep 1 of each, at least at the beginning, just so that each dwarf has a place to eat, so that they're not having to kind of share space. So we'll do A for add task, T for table, and I'll do 3 more AT, AT, and then 3 more for chairs, AC, AC, AC. And I didn't get to bring this up earlier, but Ara Blade should. He is set to construct the rock table. Let's go down here and press Z to go to the unit. There he is. When I unpause, why are you grabbing that stone, Ara Blade? He must have been down here already, because there's so much stone right here by the mason's workshop. Look at all the stone that people have been using my wheelbarrow to pull up to the stockpile. Anyway, he's going to slowly drag himself up there. Any day now. Any day now. Sir Ara, could you please, in the future, could you possibly use stone nearby? I'm begging you, buddy. Come on. For the next item. Oh, there he goes. Check it out. Do you see it? It was real fast because it was so close. But Sir Ara, where is he? There he is. He grabbed the stone that was right there. Very cool. So making the items in this workshop is going to go much faster. Thank goodness. And then when he gets done, I can place them out in a very cool line. And then all the dwarves will have their own place to eat and drink. Cool. Well, I feel like I've done a pretty good job taking care of dwarves' need for indoor, like for shelter, right? They have a place to sleep now. They have a place to eat. All their food is stored in a nice, dry, safe location a few layers down. I think in the next episode, I'm going to tackle food and drink. There's a ton to talk about with food and drink, so I won't be able to cover it all right away, but we'll get started with that in the next episode. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode. If you like what you saw, please hit that like button down below. It helps me out a ton in 2 different ways. One, it helps people find this video if they're interested in Dwarf Fortress and learning how to play. And 2, it helps grow the channel, as it helps YouTube search algorithm thingy blah 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 thing work, and it helps other people find this channel because likes equal views or something. I don't know how it works, but that's what they tell me, and so that's what I'm telling you. Hit that like button down below. If you have any tips or tricks for things like gathering or building meeting halls, things that I talked about in this episode, please let me know down below. Thank you guys again so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.